Welcome to our podcast, Learn Biblical Greek, brought to you by Dr. William Stewart, the co-founder of Teleios. This captivating podcast teaches you biblical Greek through a verse-by-verse study of the book of Ephesians, interjecting Greek grammar, Greek word meanings, and vital theology concepts. Thanks for joining us on this exciting biblical journey. Your study will be more effective if you use the Greek text with the Bible word codes, either on the eSword download or Bible Hub website. These links are on our podcast website at www.teleiosresearch.com.
Hi, I'm William Stewart, co-founder of Teleios. Welcome back to our podcast on learning biblical Greek. Please visit our website, read the disclaimer. There are other information there for you, resources. Leave us a 5-star review if you like it, and leave a comment, questions, and interact, and I'll be happy to try to answer any question. We're in Ephesians 5, and just a great section of Christian lifestyle verses. And Paul has told us to be wise and watch how we walk. We come to verse 17 today, and where he says, diototo. So get that Greek text open. On account of this, and I think he's referring to the prior verse where it says that the days are evil. So dia, of course, is the preposition. And when it takes the accusative, like tuto, it will mean, which can be the nominative, but after a preposition, it has to be an oblique case. It can't be the nominative. So by context, we know that's accusative and would mean because of. And so because of this, me, which is not, it's the sort of soft not, nice not that's used in negative commands. That's not quite as direct as oo. So the Greek's trying to be polite. Gereste, become. So this is of course, a verb that's a my verb. And so the dictionary form is in the passive, but it is translated in the active, called a deponent verb. The Latin also has this. No modern language for which I know has this. Though there are a lot of languages for which I'm not familiar. So the major ones, I'll say that. The verb, this is an imperative. It's the same form as the passive indicative and present active indicative. So in the second person plural, the imperatives are in the same form between the indicative and the imperative. So that stay is the ending for the second person passive plural set of endings. So do not become. Ephrones. Now this is an interesting word. It comes from phrein, which is the word for diaphragm in Greek, which interestingly was the source of all wisdom and knowledge and moral and ethical behavior for a person. I don't know why. I think it's because the heart sat on the diaphragm. So perhaps as they did animal sacrifices and they cut each other up on the battlefield, those Greek hoplites, they perhaps noticed this anatomically. So they tended to personify body parts so that diaphragm then was the stand that what held the heart, holds the heart. The A in front of it, of course, is the negative. So don't be without wisdom and knowledge and good moral behavior. Allah, but indeclinable. This but means that typically the second phrase afterwards, the phrase that comes afterwards, is preferred over the first. And you can see that here. Understanding. It's a verb. Let's walk through it. Soon is the prefix, meaning with. There's no augment. The I here is the root. How does that work? Well, it comes from an old Greek word iemi, to sin, which is maybe used once or twice in the New Testament, but has a bunch of words with a prefix, like synestemi. And so the root is, in this case, well, the root it would typically be IA, but when you add letters after it, the iota turns into just the I. We then see the E here, which is the connector to the ending. The NT, of course, is the morpheme for the the active present tense participle. The ES, of course, will be the ending for the nominative plural masculine. So understanding. So again, that iota, I, is the root, having lost the original eta root from the dictionary form. And then the NT is the morpheme for the active present tense participle. ES gives you person and number. T. Now, this can take two forms. If it's without an accent, it'll mean a certain one. If it's with an accent, it's a question word like T, what, who. Most of the Bibles, like what's on eSword, don't have the accent. So you have to guess by context. By context, it's what. And so it would be a question word and technically have the accent. But of course, we don't see it. Teleios. So this is, we see the article out in front. That to is the nominative single neuter article. And thelema. And you see the endings don't match. So it's a third person declension or third declension. That the root word here would be, well, it's just the lame, and the A is the neuter singular nominative ending. So again, like most third declensions, the root ends in a consonant. So the will. To curio. So here we have another article, OU, genitive masculine singular, matches that of curio. We've seen this a number of times. So it's a second declension, a match, second declension noun of the Lord. So the genitive singular masculine. So on account of this, do not become unwise or unknowledgeable, but understand what the will of the Lord is. Now I added in there is, and of course in Greek you can do that. The is a are or can be there or not, depending on the author's choice. Okay, thank you for joining me today. We will continue with this great passage next time, giving us so much wisdom. I'll look forward to seeing you then.